What's up, man? Brown, how you doing? Welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Man, thank you. Thank you for a beautiful KO punch on Saturday. You were an underdog. And Las Vegas guys, we like to bet and we're not shy about it. So thank you. My parlays thank you. My pocket thanks you. Great job, man. And at 40 years old, and I think when an athlete fights at a certain age, usually 40, here's what happens, man. I sent you that text about Father Time. If you lose, they go, oh, Father Time got him. And you got to give Father Time the W, and you give the athlete the loss, whether it's Tom Brady, Joe Montana, whoever, anybody that starts to creep up into a certain age, right? But I feel like you guys deserve the win if you come out of there with a win. So you defeated Dhiego Lima, and you beat Father Time. You went 2-0 and got a bonus.
I like it. Man, all the people betting on me, I need to start getting percentage of this. I get so many messages. Everybody's like, dude, you won me so much money. I'm like, where's my percentage, man? But yeah, I feel better at 40, man, than I think I have in a long time, to be honest. It's crazy. So I think things are coming together a little better right now than they have, and I'm excited for my future, man.
Is that just physical or physical and mental as far as feeling better than you have before?
Both. Absolutely.
Because
Yeah, both,
they say fighting is 80% mental on fight night, right? So can you talk about that? You know, as a younger fighter, do you think you're just full of adrenaline and maybe you're trying to do too many other things than really just focused on the task at hand? And as you get older, you have all that experience and you can dial it in and just be cool as a cucumber, find your spots, and then explode.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think a lot of times when I was younger, I'd come in with a strategy, a game plan. I'd work on it, have everything squared away, perfect the way it needed to be to have a great training camp. And then I go in there and screw all that, man. I'm just going to swing hard as I can and try to knock this guy. Even, more recently I've done that. But I think this was the first fight where I just felt very gracious to be there and just happy to be there, and felt like I was playing a game rather than fighting someone. You know what I mean? Like it was just more of a chess match in my mind, and I was actually thinking out there, setting things up, taking my time, and led to a good finish. So I'm happy with how it worked, and again, it just excites me more for the future, man.
Because you're so talented, and in addition, you're a tough hombre, a BMF, a fan favorite. Does that sometimes factor into like, okay, I gotta play chess and not just play checkers to please the fans? Sometimes you ever find like sometimes you can kind of get caught up in that too.
I think so, man. I think that's a very good point, because a lot of times you kind of want to God, how would you say it? Like you want to be what they expect you to be. Like all these people have these expectations for you, and you don't want to let them down. And um, yeah, again, that's a little bit where I think I felt like I was playing a game and I was playing my game. And it turned out, I think it was still a pleasing fight, certainly a pleasing knockout, pleasing finish, knockout for the fans. But it's like, every fight doesn't have to be a war. Every fight doesn't have to be a brawl. And I got to go in there and please myself first. So, 40 years old, however many professional fights, and I'm still learning, man.
Matt, I was watching your fight very, very closely, and throughout the fight, I felt like even up to the ending sequence, it just felt like you knew what you wanted to do. You were just waiting for that right opportunity. Um, am I right in assessing that closing sequence? It just looked like something that you had come very close to getting before, and it just felt like it was a matter of time. Like just the way you were moving, the way you were setting things up. Did you feel any panic? Did you know that was going to happen eventually?
Yes and no. So I knew the right hand would land at some point. I knew that he was gonna be open for the right hand. We worked on multiple setups. We worked on multiple ways to get to that. And I tried some other things earlier and like you said, I was feeling out the different situations, um, and yeah, so it just came together at the right place and the right time during the fight. So that's a good little breakdown that you had there, a good observation you had there, because yeah, that's exactly it, man. That's what I mean when I say I was thinking in there this time. Usually, if a fight was going that slow and the guy backing up that much, moving side to side, it would have really frustrated me. Like if you watch any of my past fights where guys would do that and they would kind of try to pick their shots, and it would eventually just frustrate me or make me just bite down my mouthpiece and say, we got to fight, man. But this time, I'm proud of myself, happy in my performance, in the sense that I remained patient and believed in the work that I did and that it was going to pay off.
When it comes to coaching in the corner and getting instructions in between rounds, when do you think you absorb that the most? As a younger fighter or as an older fighter, where when you hear their words, it kind of just jives with what you already know versus, I didn't see that. Thank you. I'm going to go in and establish. Like, when is coaching the most valuable in your career?
I definitely think both. I don't think it's more valuable at one point than another. And it's like I tell all my coaches, or all my athletes, that I coach, not to expect a lot of words out of me, and they're going to hear a lot of the same things that I repeat during camp. And I sit down with all my coaches before the fight, and we're very clear about the important fundamental strategies that need to be in place for the finer details and to kind of come to fruition, if that makes any sense.
A lot of fighters, because you mentioned the Diaz brothers on Saturday, a lot of fighters who do that get shot down right away. But you got clout. The Diaz brothers will admit that. I know that. You're one of those guys that has put in his time in this sport, and people would love to see that. I'm sure the UFC would like to promote it. Have you heard anything just off that initial reaction, or since then have you changed your mind and even thought about like something else? Because I know that sometimes you guys don't have the clearest mind on fight night. It takes a while to decompress a little.
I haven't heard anything, no. And to be honest, I haven't really thought about it. I'll have time to think about it. I'm going to end up having to take probably the summer off. I just have so much to do with my kids that I'm not going to be able to clear the path for a training camp for the summer. So not even really thinking about it too much right now. I'm sure that I'll talk with Sean or Dana, Sean Shelby or Dana, pretty soon, and kind of go from there. But and in terms of the Diaz's, like anybody would want that fight, like whether they think they would win or whether they think they would lose. It's a big fight, and I got a lot of respect for those guys, and I think it would be a huge fight, the two of us, whichever Diaz it happened to be. And I think it'd be a freaking blast, man. I think we put on a real war, and it's another one of those guys. Like I know they're not really friendly before they fight you, but like I would be totally cool with them and love them before and love them after.
Man, let me rattle off some stats just to close. These are amazing, man, what you've done in your career. These are courtesy of our colleague, Mike Bond. Brown's 16 victories in UFC welterweight competition are tied with Matt Hughes for third most in divisional history behind GSP and Neil Magny, who have 19 and 18 respectively. Brown's 14 stoppage victories in UFC competition are tied for third in company history behind Charles Oliveira and Don Cerrone, who have 17 and 16 respectively. Brown's 14 stoppage victories in the UFC welterweight competition are the most in divisional history. Brown's 12 knockout victories in UFC competition are tied with Vitor Belfort and Derek Lewis for most in company history. Brown's 12 knockout victories in welterweight competition are the most in divisional history. That's amazing. Did you hear some of them names, man? Jesus, that's some amazing work, brother, over a long time that you've been in the sport.
I appreciate it. And yeah, those are some great company to be around there with with the same names as those guys. And, I think it took me longer than it should have. It's my only thing that I don't like about it. I think I should have had those records a long time ago, but I don't really focus. I talk about this all the time with my athletes, man. Like it's not about what you've done. It's about what you're going to do. And that's where my mind's at right now. Like I don't keep none of my belts. Obviously I don't have a UFC belt, but like the local belts that I had and trophies from different competitions and all these accolades and stuff. I don't keep none of that around, man. I put it in the storage, and I have no focus whatsoever on what I've done. Don't care at all. I'm sure looking back in a few years, whenever I'm retired and look back, I can show that to my kids, and I might even brag about it a little bit or something. But I still got big things to do, bigger things than I've done.
Keep making them payments on the storage place, because I don't want you to become part of Storage Wars history, where some knucklehead gets all that stuff you just mentioned for $75.
Storage in my own attic.
Oh, okay. All right. The one that just popped the most was most knockout victories in company history, tied with Vitor Belfort and Derek Lewis. Man, those are some hard hitters, and to be up there, especially with you competing, heck, at least about 75 pounds less than Derek Lewis, and arguably 20, 30 less than where Vitor did most of his damage. That's legit.
And with all due respect to Vitor, I don't think anybody would argue that he probably had some help along the way. And Derek, I mean, gosh, like you said, the heavyweights, I mean, you're going to have guys with a lot of knockouts at heavyweight. I don't know who would be second place in welterweight. I mean, there's, I'm sure, guys with high finishes, but in terms of knockouts, like who's number two? Do you guys know off the top of your head or there on the computer or something?
I don't, but I'll text it to you because I'll ask my colleague. He keeps all those records, but you have that.
It might be Vicente Luque, actually, now that I think about
it.
I think he's very close, at least. I might be wrong on that, but I think he's getting up there pretty high. But, but I just – my point, I guess, is that I think it's a lot tougher to do in the weight class, which is kind of what you were alluding to, in the 170, 185, 155 range. And obviously probably gets harder as you get lower. But, so it's a cool thing, man. It makes me feel good. But, again, it's about what I'm going to do, not about what I've done.
Where does this rank amongst your favorite either knockouts or fights? Last question.
Boy, that's a tough question because I probably felt better in there than I think I have in maybe any other fight. That might have been like the best that I felt overall. So in terms of that, it's certainly one of the top ones. In terms of significance, I've had bigger fights. I've had Robbie Lawler, main event on Fox, Eric Silva, main event. Those would be the top ones. So this one's up there, but not all the way.
I know I said last question, but I got to ask you, how many times do you get pulled aside and do people bring up the Eric Silva fight?
That's probably the most common one for sure. No doubt about it. That's everybody's favorite fight of mine so far.
That was something else, yeah. All right. Well, Matt, thank you for squeezing us in. I'm sure you have a busy day ahead of you. Happy belated Father's Day. Congrats on the win Saturday. Enjoy the bonus. Great job on behalf of Team Over 40. And whatever that next fight is, we'll be here to cover it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys.